everyone. My name is Renee Norris. I'm the executive producer at Artisan Center Theater, and my actresses here today are Denise Jasper and Debbie Hilliker, and we are going to be reading Elephant's Graveyard by Marjorie Williamson, and she is in St. Louis, Missouri, so I'm hoping that she's going to have the opportunity to watch this, and we've really enjoyed working with her literature. This is the second of the original works series provided by the Art Center, and I think we shall begin. All right. Elephant's Graveyard by Marjorie Williamson. Elephant's Graveyard examines the questions that all torment ourselves with. How should we live? How will we die? And how the heck did we end up here? Characters. Smitty. A smart, adventurous, cynical, somewhat egotistical white woman in her mid-70s. She has traveled the world and has had many lovers, but now in old age finds herself alone and for the first time in her life, frightened. Margaret, an upbeat, energetic, people-pleasing white woman approximately the same age as Smitty. She has been widowed for a little over a year when the play begins and has recently been diagnosed with a treatable but incurable cancer. She loves her family, her garden, her book club, and Smitty. All the action takes place in an unremarkable kitchen of Smitty's old house in any minor American city. Elephant's Graveyard by Marjorie Williamson. At Rise, Smitty is setting teacups and saucers on the table. It's an afternoon in mid-December. She's casually dressed, but with touches of flamboyance. Margaret is just entering through the back door. She wears jeans and a very silly Christmas sweater. The sweater is hidden by a hooded cargo coat. On her feet are colorful wool socks and snow boots. She carries a small, fully decorated artificial Christmas tree.
It's really coming down out there. I almost slid off your driveway.
What is that? Why are you bringing that thing into my house?
Everybody should have a Christmas tree.
Not me. I don't want that damn silly thing.
It won't kill you. Look, I'll stick it over in the corner and you won't even know it's there.
Just give me a break. I just dodged Thanksgiving. Do you really have to start cramming Christmas down my throat already? How long have you known me? I don't do holidays.
You used to be a fun person.
Smitty pours some pretzels into a bowl.
I am a fun person. I amuse myself no end. I'm just not a people person. Holidays are for people.
Which is exactly why you should come spend Christmas at my house. We're not people, we're practically family. And it's going to be a really good time this year.
Since when are you allowed to have a good time? You're supposed to be in mourning.
Nope. Time to move on. It's been way more than a year now. Miss Manners says I'm allowed to celebrate the season. Look.
Margaret rips open her coat to display a lurid holiday sweater.
Oh, Margaret, have you no shame? You were at Woodstock, and this is what you've come to. Oh, it's just sad.
We've got to get ourselves back to the
Stop.
car.
Thank you. Sit down and shut up and have a drink here. What the hell kind of choices are they giving you down at that clinic anyway?
The treatments are going very well, thank you for asking. So well, in fact, that my oncologist tells me there's actually a possibility I'll die of something completely unrelated before this thing kills me.
So you might croak in any number of ways. I guess that is good news.
Yes, isn't it wonderful? Give me a cigarette. If I hurry, I might still have time for lung cancer.
Oh, here, liver failure's a good backup plan.
You know what? We should take a trip this spring. Go somewhere exotic. Have an adventure.
Listen to you. You are really full of beans today, aren't you? I've been trying to get you to travel with me for years, and now that I can barely walk, you're ready to go adventuring. Well, let me tell you, Machu Picchu is pretty much out of the question at this point. I doubt if I could handle anything more demanding than a bus tour of Branson.
Oh, surely we can come up with something a little sexier than that. Oh, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I just want to change. I just want to get away.
Away from what?
Look, it's an expression. I just want to plan for something to look forward to. I want to have one new experience that isn't related to hospitals or funeral homes.
Well, my knees.
Oh, your knees. The last time I was here, you were up on the garage roof replacing shingles. Those knees work just fine when you want them to.
I don't know.
Look, we'll get the holidays out of the way, and then we'll figure out where to go. I'll do all the research, make all the arrangements. The only thing you'll have to do is show up.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Arthur isn't doing well. I might not be able to leave him.
Where is Arthur?
At the vet's. Having a lump removed.
Something serious?
I don't know yet.
Oh, well, sorry to hear it.
Oh, you're not. Never liked him. Not that I blame you.
Well, he snaps at me. How many times have I been in this house since you got that dog? And he's tried to bite me every damn time. But I do hope he recovers honest. Oh, look, you can bring him with you at Christmas.
I am not going to your house at Christmas, Margaret. Give it a rest.
Why not? You would be such a welcome addition. My girls always ask about you.
Your girls think I'm the Antichrist, and the prospect of spending a whole day ankle deep with your screechy little grandkids gives me the heebie-jeebies.
What little grandkids? Try to keep up, will you? The youngest one's in middle school. Emily's oldest is a sophomore in college.
Well, a swarm of sullen adolescents with their faces glued to their cell phones doesn't hold a lot of charm for me either.
No cell phones at my house. Not at Christmas. That's the rule. No, on Christmas, every one of them has to dump their devices in a box as they enter the house. Adults too, no exceptions. And then I make everybody play goofy party games and they all piss and moan about how silly it is. And then they all proceed to have the time of their lives. Oh, I found this really good one where you use straws to blow ping pong balls into plastic cups.
I can remember when you had vastly different ideas about what constitutes a fun party.
Yeah, well, you grow. Hey, did you know if you dab a little face powder on your eyelid, it keeps the eyeliner from smudging?
Well, yeah, of course I know that. Everybody knows that.
Well, I didn't know it. All these years I've been walking around with smudgy eyes looking like a damn panda. Why didn't I know something so simple? What else don't I know?
I'll make you a list. You'll have to be patient, though. It's going to be a long one.
Well, you didn't know about using hairspray to stop a run in your pantyhose. I taught you that one, so don't get all high horsey with me.
Ah, yes. I think of you with gratitude every time I spritz my tattered hosiery with Aquanet. When's the last time either one of us wore pantyhose? When's the last time anybody ever wore them?
Stockings are making a comeback. I read that on the internet somewhere. Oh, remember the ones that came in those plastic little eggs? That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
We're old, kiddo.
I should know more by this point in my life. I should be oozing knowledge and wisdom. My grandkids should be elbowing each other out of the way for the privilege of asking Grandma for advice. I mean, what have I got to show for 70-some years of life on this planet? I know how to use a sewing machine, and drive a stick shift, and make pie crust from scratch. I can recite the entire prologue from the Canterbury Tales and the original Middle English. But I can't remember how a bill becomes a law, or how to compute the area of a circle. I have no idea how electricity works. I'm friggin' useless.
Oh, there's not much point in worrying about it now, my dear. Our time is past. We're just coasting to a stop.
What's different in here? What's changed?
Well, there's a stupid damn Christmas tree over there in the corner.
Your spice rack. Where is your big spice cabinet?
I got rid of it.
That beautiful cabinet Carl made for you? You got rid of it? Why?
Well, I'm decluttering. Everybody's doing it. Haven't you heard? It's all the rage.
But who doesn't need a spice cabinet?
Me, that's who. The thing was just hanging there collecting dust. I haven't done any real cooking for years, not since Carl moved out. And even when we were together, he did most of it. These days, I'm perfectly happy with frozen stuff from Trader Joe's.
But it was so lovely.
I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff. This place, it's like a museum. It's a monument to somebody who doesn't exist anymore.
You're still you.
Not as much as I used to be. I'm tired of being surrounded by stuff that just seems to mock me. All that weird junk I collected up on my travels, some of it I can't even remember where it came from. It's time for that crap to go.
But you have some exquisite, interesting things.
And I sure as hell don't need a closet full of clothes that I haven't worn in 30 years to remind me that nobody's ever going to look at me again, no matter what I wear. I still have mini skirts and bell bottoms. And an honest-to-God chaparral evening gown I got in Milan. Hot pink, if you can believe it. I own a sari, for Christ's sake.
Okay, so maybe weed things out a little bit.
And why? Why do I have a king-size bed? How pathetic is that?
Well, hope springs eternal.
I'm not a sexual being anymore. Me. Imagine that. It's just beginning to really hit me.
This is just now recurring to you?
Yes, Margaret, just now. I made it last a good long time. It was who I was. And yeah, I know I was never any real beauty, but damn it, I was sexy.
No argument. You were.
I had power. People looked at me wherever I went, and not just men either. All I had to do was walk across a room and I had everybody's attention. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to be. I like that. You remember how it was?
Not really. I was never the natural phenomenon you were. I was the girls the boy always noticed after they struck out with you. Now, even at my cutest, guys didn't look at me until they had existed the more interesting possibilities.
Well, I really like being an interesting possibility. God, Margaret, we came of age in a sexual Eden after the pill and before AIDS. The rules were simple and the game was lovely. It was heaven.
Well, we had it easy. We were smart and pretty and white. So yeah, of course we had a good time. I guess.
You guess?
Well, I always felt, all through college anyway, I felt like I was being tossed around by forces beyond my control. I was always tense. I mean, the boys did all the choosing, all the pursuing. All I had was veto power, and exercising that was always pretty a messy affair. It was the 60s. Everybody was screwing everybody. If I didn't want to go to bed with a guy, I always felt like I owed him an apology and a detailed explanation. Sometimes it was just easier to sleep with him, you know? Some proto-feminist I was, huh?
Oh, feminism. I don't give a rat's ass about feminism. But you were definitely a sap. You should have done the choosing and the pursuing. I certainly did. And you should have said no whenever you felt like it. No explanations, no excuses, and certainly no apologies. Just no. There is nothing more exhilarating than that. What?
Oh, just trying to picture it.
What?
You saying no to a man.
Oh, you prissy little bitch. I said no to a great many men. I had to. There weren't enough hours in the day to accommodate the legions who wanted me.
It's a miracle you found time to finish school.
And they went on wanting me for years and years. Menopause wasn't even a speed bump for me. How old was I when Carl and I got together? Over 60 anyway. We were hot. I was hot. I mean, now I can hardly remember what it felt like or what all the fuss was about. I've moved into my soup years.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well,
Soup?
you know the old joke about the guy and the hooker? Oh, come on. I know you know this one. No? Really? Okay. This guy is about to have some milestone birthday, 90 or 70 or 50, depending on who you're telling the joke to. And a bunch of his buddies, they pool together and hire a fancy high-end prostitute for the occasion.
But nobody says prostitute anymore. They're called sex workers now. And what with his friends?
Will you shut up and let me finish? So, the big day comes. The birthday boy answers the phone, answers the knock on his door, and there stands this gorgeous, scantily clad bimbo, sex worker. And she yells, "Happy birthday! I'm here to offer you super sex." The guy thinks for a minute, and finally he says, "I believe I'll have the soup."
Huh?
That's it? You don't think that's funny? That's a great joke. I can't believe you don't think that's funny.
Maybe you didn't tell it right.
Oh, jeez, never mind. The point is, I'm not the force of nature I once was, and it's painful. I used to be the center of the universe, and that's what it felt like anyway, and now it's like I'm invisible.
Invisible's not so bad. I've been invisible for a good 30 years, and I kind of like it.
Well, I don't. It's disorienting. What am I supposed to be now?
I don't know. Maybe you should think less about being and more about doing.
What's that supposed to mean? I do plenty.
No, you don't. You sit around here reading old murder mystery novels or watching old murder mystery movies, and once in a great while, you stir yourself to patch up whatever's currently falling apart in this old house. You hardly ever do anything with other people, and you certainly don't do anything for other people.
Well, now that I'm no longer sexually desirable, I'm supposed to, what? Wash the feet of lepers or maybe adopt a couple juvenile delinquents.
I was thinking more along the lines of stacking canned goods at a food pantry or walking dogs at an animal shelter, but yes, that's essentially the idea.
That's just not who I am, Margaret.
Oh, who you are. I haven't thought about who I am since I gave birth half a century ago. I've been too busy for that kind of nonsense. Social connections make the world go round, you ass. You don't see your family. You won't see my family. I bet you don't even talk to your neighbors either, do you?
Well, the ones I knew all moved away or died.
Well, damn it, throw a block party and get acquainted with the new ones.
Yuck.
You know what, Smitty? You can tell yourself that you chose and pursued all those guys back in college, but that's just baloney. You never chose or pursued anyone or anything your whole life. You just let things happen to you, and when they stop being exciting or amusing or whatever, you just drifted on to the next place or the next thing or the next man. You've never committed to anything. You were never brave enough.
Well, easy for you to say. You just cruised right into your happy little life. You just sat down in a big old tub of butter.
Oh, I know what you think of my happy little life. You think I sleepwalked into a nice, safe, humdrum marriage. You think I settled for motherhood and a job with health insurance and a four-room colonial in a good school district. Well, let me tell you, those things were all products of very deliberate decisions, difficult decisions, and I had to keep making and remaking them through all those years. You think Tom and I didn't have problems? Or that my daughters didn't make me positively homicidal some days?
Well, okay. I get it.
I remember one time when the girls were little, the pair of them got me so apoplectic, I dumped them on the next door neighbor, got in the car and drove halfway across the state before I cooled down enough to turn around and go home. And you know what? Tom was no saint. Once he made me so furious, I chucked 4 place settings of our wedding china down the basement stairs.
Oh, you Hellcat, you.
It was hard, damn it, but I committed to something and I stuck with it. And I'm proud of that.
Well, bully for you.
And I tell you what else I did. I decided to be happy. Because it turns out that that's 90% of the answer to everything right there. You choose to be happy.
God, you are a self-righteous prig.
And you're a whiny, self-absorbed crab. Two character flaws.
Amen.
Oh, look, Smitty. This past year's been bad. I lost a perfectly good husband and I found out I've got this thing that's probably gonna kill me fairly soon.
Or not.
Or not. I'm too busy to be miserable. I do stuff. I have my book club and the community garden committee. I'm taking a Photoshop class. And one day a week, I'm a homework helper at that Catholic grade school down at the end of the street.
You are the Mother Teresa of outer suburbia.
I have things to do that I care about and people I care about to do them with. However much time I've got left, it's definitely not enough for your kind of existential navel gazing.
Oh, but don't you miss that sense of moving towards something mysterious and grand? That feeling of inventing yourself day by day, of becoming.
Sorry, I can't say that I do.
Well, I was always sure something big was going to happen to me, and I was just going to end up someplace special. But all I had to do was keep moving forward and be ready for it. I just knew that if I kept trying new places and new things, then one day the planets would align, the gears would mesh, and I'd discover that I had arrived. And I was precisely where I was meant to be, with the person I was meant to be with, and doing exactly what I was meant to do. Life's a journey, right? Isn't that what everybody says?
Yeah, sure, I guess.
So, that implies a destination, right? I thought my destination was going to be magical, but I never got there, Margaret. Did I just miss it? Did I pass right through and fail to recognize it? All those years bouncing around all over the planet and nothing stuck. I never found a place that felt like the right place. I never found a man who felt like the right man, and I never had any kind of a real career. I thought I'd just somehow, poof, become a world famous journalist, photographer. I don't know, maybe just one of those people who are famous for being famous. But look at me, I'm used up, sexless, alone, and living back here in what is probably the least magical place on the face of the earth, in the same goddamn house I was born in. You're right. I never chose anything. I thought my destiny would choose me. I thought I was special and that it would all work out in the end. I'm not, and it didn't.
That's more than most people ever figure out about themselves.
Oh, it's not enough. I let my whole life just dribble away. I blew it.
You haven't blown anything, you moron. This isn't one of your silly whodunits where everything's explained on the last page. Whatever meaning life has is in the journey, not the destination.
Oh, jeez. Did you get that out of a fortune cookie?
Well, what if I did? That doesn't make it any less true. You are my favorite person in all the world, Smitty, but sometimes I just want to smack you. Your life has been one long, continuous National Geographic special.
Here we go.
You've been to all these gorgeous and scary places, done these daring, adventurous things the rest of us just fantasize about. But, oh, poor you. You didn't find the answer to questions that the world's greatest minds have wrestled with since the beginning of time. And now, you're old. Oh, but in fairness of it, you're going to burn your mementos and dress in sackcloth and sit in a garden and eat worms? Poor you.
You are one cold fish, sometimes Margaret.
Has it ever occurred to you that maybe you're exactly where you're supposed to be? I mean, over the years, this is the place you've always come back to. Am I
Well,
right?
I had to earn a little money occasionally, you know. I had to work. It was just more convenient to live here while I saved up for the next big thing.
Your dad left you a bundle and you haven't worked for years. Why are you here now? You could have sold this house when your mom died. Why didn't you retire to a treehouse in Costa Rica? Why aren't you living in a yurt in wherever it is they have yurts?
Because I gave up. I finally just gave up and came home for good.
Only you could make home sound like a four-letter word.
It is a four-letter word, you dope.
Look, just because you circled back to where you started doesn't have to mean the journey's over. Hell, you still might have 10 or 12 good years left. Oh, the things you could do with a dozen more years. I swear, Smitty, if you waste them, I'll come back and haunt you. And I won't be one of those friendly ghosts either. I'll be terrorizing.
You're gonna preach fortune-cookie wisdom at me from beyond the grave? Well, that would be terrifying.
Are you going to feed me lunch or what?
All right, lunch.
Smitty stands and moves towards the kitchen cabinets. A phone rings in another room.
Oh, that'll be the bet. I have to get this.
Smitty exits to the kitchen. We hear snatches of her conversation from the next room.
Hello. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, sure. Yes, of course I remember. Uh-huh. Yes. Oh no. No, once was enough. Really? No, never. Yes. Well, that does sound pretty intriguing.
Smitty re-enters the kitchen, still talking. She gestures at Margaret, points at the phone, and makes a face that conveys pleasure, surprise, and befuddlement. Smitty then exits the kitchen, and her voice grows fainter as she apparently moves further from the kitchen.
Sure. Well, I need to think about it. No, actually. Yes, sure.
Smitty re-enters after her phone call ends.
You're not going to believe this.
I'm pretty gullible. Try me.
You remember that parachute jump I did way back last spring? The parachute jump you refused to do with me?
I have a terminal illness, not a death wish.
For heaven's sake, it was just a tandem jump. Anyone can do those. Jimmy Carter did one on his 90th birthday.
It was insanity.
Well, anyway, that call was from one of the guys who organized the jump. He's getting a group together to go hot air ballooning in New Mexico next month, and he wants to know if I would care to join them.
But your knee.
Oh,
And poor little Arthur.
shut up. I could do that, couldn't I?
Why not?
Margaret, that's not the only reason he called. He invited me to dinner tomorrow night.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
Reports of your demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Maybe so.
You have a date
Oh.
with a boy.
Well, I think it's a date. I mean, I suppose it's possible he just wants to get together to plan the balloon trip. Hell, maybe he's inviting a whole bunch of people. Maybe it's a meeting.
Surely you can tell the difference between a meeting invite and a sexual overture.
Yeah, it's a date.
So tell me more. Tell me everything. What does he look like?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was months ago, and we were all swaddled in jumpsuits and helmets. I made chit-chat with a couple of perfectly acceptable men on the plane, but I have no idea which one was him. Maybe neither one.
You have a date with a mystery man.
Oh my God, Margaret. What if he doesn't remember who I am either? I mean, we were really bundled up, and maybe he thinks I'm younger than I am. Jesus, maybe he's got me confused with an entirely different woman.
Nobody has ever mistaken you for anybody else. You make a very distinct impression. Trust me.
I'm making too much of this, aren't I? It's just dinner. I probably won't even like him. Most people bore the socks off me. Why would this guy be any different?
But he sounded interesting on the phone, right?
Yes, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I'll call him back and cancel. What do I wear?
How about that? Sorry.
Oh, just go ahead, make fun. You're just jealous.
Smitty distractedly retrieves bread from the bread box and begins unwrapping the loaf.
Oh, Smitty, I am so not jealous. I'm just pleased as punch for you. Really, I am. But I'd rather stab my eyes out with a salad fork than slog through a romantic dinner with some strange man. And listen to me.
Pointing a wooden spoon at her.
You are not to let this get in the way of our trip. Don't you dare go getting yourself all wrapped up in fine dining, hot air ballooning, and wild monkey sex.
Oh, just keep your hair on. I'll leave you a spot on my dance card. Oh, jeez, look at that. My hands are shaking. One lousy dinner date with a stranger. Oh, God, what a ridiculous old fool I am. Oh, what do you want on your sandwich?
Holding up a can of soup.
I believe I'll have the soup.
Oh,
Blackout. End of scene. Scene 2. An afternoon in spring. Smitty is holding the back door open as Margaret enters from outside. Margaret is carrying a small bouquet of flowers from her garden. Smitty wears capri pants and a colorful tunic. Margaret wears jeans and a t-shirt.
oh, come on in, why don't ya? Come on, have some tea with us. Okay, sure. Oh, okay. Bye then. Bye.
Shutting the door and turning to Margaret.
What was that all about? Why do you have a chauffeur? Where's your car?
As Margaret speaks, she waggles the flowers at Smitty. Then she moves to the kitchen cabinets and begins looking for something to put the flowers in. Eventually, she settles on a drinking glass. She fills it with water, adds the flowers, and sets it on the table.
From my garden. Aren't they sweet? Oh, Amanda says she wants to check out that new IKEA store down here, but that was probably just an excuse. I know they don't want me driving all the way into the city on my own anymore.
Anymore? As in never again?
No, just for now. Probably. That new stuff I'm on makes me a little woozy sometimes. It really is better if I stay off the highway till I get, acclimated. Where's Arthur? Why isn't he in here chewing on my ankles?
Oh, he's probably asleep somewhere. He sleeps a lot these days. So, how long have you got?
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, how long till the warden returns to collect you?
Oh, that. Plenty of time, a couple of hours. She'll call when she's on her way.
Jesus, 2 hours in an IKEA. That girl must love you very much.
Well, I doubt if it's quite the sacrifice for her that it would be for you. But still, she's a good person, my Mandy. Both my girls are good people. Annoying as hell sometimes. Controlling, condescending, judgmental, but good.
Well, whatever they're pumping you full of these days, you're definitely looking perkier than the last time I saw you.
Yeah, boy, the bottom just really dropped out of me there for a while, but I'm back now, mostly.
Oh, good. So we can finally start making some travel plans?
You've got room on your busy social calendar for little me. What about Balloon Boy?
Oh, that's pretty much fizzled out.
Oh, sorry.
I could have overlooked the weak chin and the strong aftershave, but he just wasn't good company. All he wanted was an audience, someone to stroke his ego.
Meaning that he didn't stroke yours.
Honey, he didn't stroke anything of mine. And he was just way too social. He had to have a crowd around him everywhere we went. That first dinner date we had, that was the only time we ever did anything alone. It was group hikes and group theater outings and square dancing. That one was pretty much the last straw.
I don't suppose anybody got that on video. I pay good money to see you flouncing around in cowgirl boots and one of those big bouncy skirts. No.
I drew the line at the big skirt. I wore jeans.
Well, I'm sorry it didn't work out. At least you got to ride in a hot air balloon. You like that?
Yes, I did. Only something besides the air had been hot.
But you must have met a lot of new people, right? No likely prospects there? Nobody worth getting to know better?
No, they were all just such joiners.
I'm kind of a joiner myself, Smitty.
Yeah, well, I'm willing to overlook it in your case. You're grandfathered in. As long as you don't start recruiting. Hey. Hey, close your eyes.
Why?
Smitty exits into the next room.
Because I said so, just do it.
All right.
Margaret slumps in protest but squeezes her eyes shut. In a moment, Smitty returns carrying a plate of little cakes, one of which bears a lighted birthday candle.
Happy birthday!
Oh, look at that! Little Debbie cakes. Where did you find these? I thought the FDA declared them unfit for human consumption years ago.
You gotta know where to shop, sister. Just shut up and blow.
Margaret thinks for a minute, then blows out the candle.
I have a pile of Little Debbie cakes in front of me and my best friend beside me. What's left to wish for?
A stiff drink inside you. I'll get the bottle.
Smitty carries away the bouquet of flowers somewhat scornfully and retrieves the Scotch bottle from the kitchen counter. Picking up the cake and examining it.
I don't think I've had one of these since college. Man, oh man, senior year we lived on these things. Cigarettes, black coffee, and Little Debbie snack cakes.
Smitty fills their teacups with the Scotch bottle.
Plus assorted intoxicants of various levels of legality.
Well, you were always more adventurous than I was in that department. As I recall, my drug of choice was Boone's Farm apple wine.
Margaret takes a bite of the cake.
Tastes more like Crisco than I remember. But not bad.
Smitty picks up a cake and sniffs it.
Smells like very old latex paint. But not bad.
They eat without talking for a few moments.
So, big do at your house tomorrow, I suppose?
Yep, pizza from Dewey's, ice cream cake from Baskin Robbins, and I found a bunch of excellent new party games on the internet. Relax, I'll save my breath. I know you won't come.
I don't like pizza. Neither do you, by the way. Why are you serving food you don't like at your birthday party?
Everybody else likes it, that's why. Don't say it. You just don't understand. It makes me genuinely happy to make the people I love happy. And anyway, I don't hate pizza.
Doesn't it just astound you when you think how old we are? How big that number is?
50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50.
just me sometimes. For some reason, it hits me hardest in the middle of the night when I get up to pee. I sit there and I think, I'm in my 70s. My 70s. How can that be?
Oh, I bet you've had that same middle of the night angst every decade of your life. You just don't remember. How old would you like to be?
50. 50 was a good age. I was fully formed by then, self-confident, strong. Everything was still possible, and I looked good. I'd like to be 50 forever. What about you?
Well, I think this age actually suits me just fine. I like being a little old lady.
Well, of course you do.
When I was younger, well, even into middle age, I was always so desperate for approval. Now, not so much.
Me, I always thrived on disapproval.
You know how you said you felt like the center of the universe when you were young? Well, I kind of did too, but not in a good way. I felt like everybody was looking at me and judging, and that I was always falling short. Now, well, I still want to try to make a spectacle of myself, but if I show up somewhere wearing the wrong shoes, or if I open my mouth without thinking and say the wrong thing, well, I really don't give a damn. I mean, I understand now that nobody's paying any attention to me at all. I find that kind of liberating.
Well, I'd rather be laughed at than ignored.
Back at the first of the year, before I got so sick, I tried to rent one of those steam carpet cleaners, the kind they have at the front of the big grocery stores.
I wouldn't know. Does it look like I steam clean my carpets?
Anyway, it's all automated now. Used to be you just went up to the service desk and told them what you wanted, and a big friendly clerk would fetch you a machine and even carry it out to your car for you. Now there's no human help at all. You have to download some app and then scan something and then type in a code. Well, I couldn't figure out the damn thing, so I just grabbed the first man under the age of 40 who happened to stroll by, and I played the little old lady card. And it absolutely worked. He was delighted to help. He did all the techie stuff for me and carried the thing out to my car, loaded it in the trunk. I think I probably made his day. But 20 years ago, I'd have just walked out of that store without the carpet cleaner rather than expose my incompetence, afraid that people would see me fail at this mundane little task that everybody else in the world knows how to do. I'd have been embarrassed.
Well, good for you, but face facts, Margaret. You're never going to be anybody's idea of a crusty old curmudgeon. You're a people pleaser. That's not going to change. Pizza for everybody.
No, I really don't. Oh, you're probably right. But still, I'm a lot more comfortable in this saggy old skin than I ever was as a shiny new infant. Although, I am rather vain about my feet.
Your what?
My feet! I was admiring them in the bathtub just this morning. They're still really quite nice.
Your feet.
Yes! You know how most old women have these sad, ugly, gnarled up toes and calluses and bunions and whatnot? Not me. My toes are as straight as pins. My heels are like satin. I have the feet of a girl of 40. You want to see?
No.
Margaret.
I do not want to look at your damn feet, Margaret.
How about you? You got any body parts that are still in mint condition? Well, beside your tongue, I mean. That's obviously still as sharp as ever.
No, Margaret. In my case, the whole shebang seems to be disintegrating at a nice uniform pace. Do we have to talk about this?
Were you, ever with a woman, Smitty?
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? I mean, were you ever with a woman?
Do you mean sexually, Margaret?
Of course I mean sexually, you cow.
Why didn't you just spit it out? You're not embarrassed, are you?
You know what? Just forget it. I thought we were exchanging confidences. I thought we were sharing our most private feelings, the way best friends do. But clearly, that sort of thing is just a big joke to you.
No, Margaret. I have never been sexually involved with a woman. I don't much like women. Present company marginally accepted. The idea of physical intimacy with a woman makes me slightly queasy, to be perfectly honest.
Okay then.
Well, does that surprise you, or are you disappointed? Or were you expecting titillating new revelations from my long history of debauchery?
I was merely trying to get to know you even more thoroughly than I already do.
Well then, mission accomplished.
Aren't you gonna ask me?
Are you?
Aren't you gonna ask me if I've ever been sexually involved with a woman?
Well, I confess, Margaret, the question never even occurred to me, but are you saying that you...
Well, I've gone and upended your image of simple, old, plain vanilla Margaret, haven't I?
I'm certainly surprised, yes. You really...
Who'd have thought it, right? There's more to me than meets the eye, pal.
You actually...
Just say it, Smitty. Don't be embarrassed.
You actually had a sexual relationship with a woman?
Well, no.
Oh!
But I did think about it.
You just kill me.
There was this woman, it must have been 30 years ago. This woman came in from our New York office for a big meeting, and the moment she walked into the conference room, well, it was like I'd been struck by a bolt of lightning. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. She wasn't beautiful or anything. She wasn't even what you'd call pretty, but everything about her, her voice, her hair, the way she moved. Well, I was totally, absolutely gobsmacked. I don't think we exchanged more than a dozen words, but if she'd have looked me in the eye and said, "Come away with me," I think I might have done it. She went back to New York and I never saw her again. But you know, I still conjure her up sometimes, and I almost can feel that rush of excitement she sparked in me. I have never been that instantly, totally aroused by any man. What do you suppose that was all about, Smitty?
God, Margaret, I've waited all my life for something like that to happen to me. To stumble onto that one perfect thing. You found it and you threw it away. You should have looked her in the eye and said, "Come away with me." That's what I would have done.
No, you wouldn't have. And anyway, I was a happily married heterosexual wife and mother.
And you might have become someone totally new and different and exciting.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I'm such a dull, plodding simpleton. How do you endure my company?
Years of practice. You've grown on me. And besides, I know deep down you're a much bigger badass than you pretend to be.
Well, thank you for that. Did I settle, Smitty? Is that what I did? We were going to go to Paris together that summer after graduation, remember? Us with our 2 semesters of college French. We were going to hang out in the Latin Quarter and just absorb the culture. We were going to wear silk scarves and smoke gauloises and walk around with baguettes sticking out of our tasteful shoulder bags.
We would have had a hell of a good time.
Then Tom came along and, I guess I kind of dropped you for him, didn't I? I didn't think I could possibly live through the whole summer without him. And so you went without me. You just did it all by yourself. Have you ever forgiven me for that?
Oh, I should thank you. You forced me into my first solo trip abroad. You put hair on my chest.
And then after I was married, I was going to get myself right into grad school. I was going to become something useful. A social worker or a family counselor or a social policy analyst, whatever that might be. Only I had a baby instead, and then another one. And when I did get around to a career, My little bachelor's degree propelled me all the way to the bottom rung of the human resources department in a big, fat, soul-sucking corporation. The closest I ever got to Paris was a weekend in Quebec. I've led a very small life, haven't I?
Yeah, well, you're the one honest-to-God happy person I've ever known. That's not a small thing. You are kind of a twit, though.
You know, Smitty, you're the only person I still get to fight with. The only person I can even tease now. Heck, I tried to argue a point at book club last week, and my opponent just conceded. Because you gotta be nice to the sick lady, right? Everybody's being so goddamn kind to me, and I have to be thankful, humble. I can't even nag my daughters anymore. They're so solicitous, so generous. I mean, when Emily uses up her precious vacation days to shepherd me to some ghastly all-day medical procedure, I can't very well turn around and lecture her about the 30 pounds she needs to lose, can I? And Amanda brings me that edible marijuana stuff and does all my grocery shopping. How am I supposed to give her hell about the way she lets my 13-year-old granddaughter dress like a prostitute? This thing is taking all the pleasure out of motherhood.
Marijuana?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I just flush it all down the garbage disposal. But I tell Amanda it helps. It makes her feel useful. Or I could start passing it on to you, if you'd like.
Are you scared, Margaret?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. When I think about it, which I mostly don't. Are you?
Me? Why?
Well, you're dying too. We're both of us closing in on our average life expectancy. Statistically, you're already too old to die young. Nobody would, if you popped off tomorrow, nobody would be shocked. Nobody would even be mildly surprised. So, are you scared?
Only in my back room in the middle of the night.
I can't exactly ignore it with all the doctors and the hospitals and the various unpleasant things happening to my body that I'd really rather not talk about. But still, I get up with the sun every morning, I put the coffee on, I bring in the newspaper, and life still seems infinite. When I'm struggling with the New York Times crossword and looking out the kitchen window at my garden, it sure seems like I still have all the time in the world. Geez, I still put sweet and low in my coffee instead of sugar. I'm still pretty interested in my life.
If you say every day's a gift, I'm going to puke.
For example, here I sit, frittering away some of the few precious hours I have left, butting heads with a bad temper, foul-mouthed, old fusspot. And I couldn't be enjoying myself more.
Well, I love you too, Margaret.
You know what's weird, Smitty? I'm just as careless and illogical with my time as I ever was. I still stand in front of the microwave and go, come on, come on, come on, when I'm reheating my coffee. And then I turn around and blow an entire afternoon watching back-to-back reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond on TV. I should be writing my memoirs for my grandchildren, or rereading Moby Dick, or listening to Mozart. I should be milking every minute of life for the best it has to offer. But I'm not.
What's time to a pig, huh?
What?
What? Okay, there's a city guy. He's driving down a country road.
Oh no, you're gonna tell me a joke, aren't you? Oh please don't, Smitty. You know I'm not
So
gonna
the
get
city
it.
guy drives past this farmer.
Oh,
And the farmer is standing under an apple tree, and he's holding up this big old pig so that the pig can eat the apples. And the farmer has to keep moving the pig from one apple to the next. Now pay attention now, Margaret.
Margaret lays her head on the table.
So the city guy stops, rolls down his window, and he yells to the farmer, "Hey, wouldn't it save a lot of time to put the pig down and let him eat the apples already on the ground?" farmer just looks at the guy and says, "What's time to a pig?"
Is it over?
Well, that's the greatest joke ever. You have absolutely no sense of humor, Margaret.
Okay, here's a bit of news that'll curl your hair. My granddaughter Zoe wants to join the Army.
Good for her.
Good for her! The Army, Smitty? My lovely, smart, talented granddaughter wants to enlist in the United States Army, and your response is good for her? How many anti-war demonstrations did we go to during Vietnam?
I think we went to maybe 3.
I marched on Washington.
Well, when you got home, all you could talk about was how you could sit right next to Peter, Paul, and Mary at the concert on the mall. Come on, we demonstrated because it was cool and exciting and sexy. And because we got to feel all self-righteous. Ooh, war bad. Peace and love, good. We were idiots.
I think I was sincere, Smitty.
Well, I saw a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum at the hardware store this morning. I'm pretty sure she was sincere too. Oh, I know you were sincere. Of course you were. So was I, more or less. But even way back then, I think I knew I was in it mostly for the sex.
So you didn't really care about the war?
Well, of course I cared. War is bad, but it's also inevitable. There have always been wars. There will always be wars.
And you don't think the protests helped end that one?
Well, maybe they did, but so what? The sooner that war ended, the sooner the handful of old men who actually run the world could get started on the next one.
That is so cynical. So dark. Smitty, are you depressed?
Oh, for pity's sake, Margaret. No, I am not depressed. I am simply clear-eyed enough to understand that nothing any of us does matters a hill of beans in the great scheme of things. I can live with that.
Well, I think it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness.
That's frosting off the birthday candle.
Really?
Yes, really.
I am not cursing the goddamn darkness, Margaret. I'm just acknowledging its pervasiveness.
Well, you're sure as hell not lighting any candles either. I choose to be a candlelighter, even if it is pointless. Go ahead. Smile that superior smile of yours. I believe there's a kind of grace in making an effort, no matter how futile.
You give money to panhandlers, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Even though you know they're just going to use that money to buy their next fix or their next bottle.
I prefer to believe they buy themselves a decent meal. And if they don't, well, maybe I've spared them the necessity of doing something degrading or illegal to get whatever it is they need.
Mm-hmm. And you go out and ring doorbells for every left-wing do-gooder politician who promises to eliminate poverty and puppy mills and plastic grocery bags.
Yes, I support people who try to make the world a better place.
Well, you've been in this world for a lot of years now. Has anything gotten one bit better?
Well, of course things have gotten better. Lots of things. How could you even ask that? Geez, where to begin? Less starvation, better health care, infant mortality is way down worldwide.
So more third world babies will survive to grow up to become the soldiers who fight the wars over the scarce resources of an overcrowded planet.
Gay rights, women's rights. Women can be whatever they want to now. They can be doctors and CEOs and astronauts.
Oh, sure. And when a lady astronaut gets home from Mars, she crams herself into some shapewear, cleans the house, starts dinner, and picks up the kids from daycare. Ooh, we have it all now.
Okay, now you're just being silly. Look, in our lifetime, we've seen the end of segregation.
Oh, really? How many black people live in your subdivision?
That's a fair point, but
Meaning none.
the laws have changed, and that's a very big deal. People's attitudes will catch up. Heck, every TV series now has a whole rainbow cast of characters, and you see mixed race couples everywhere you go. The mayor of the city is black. My financial advisor, I think he's black.
I read somewhere that a black man in this country has a 28% chance of spending time in jail over the course of his life. 28%.
We elected a black president.
And look who we elected after him. White nationalism is growing like a cat, like a weed.
Well, I'm going to keep on handing out my spare change and campaigning for the do-gooders, Smitty.
Well, great. Enjoy pushing your rock up that hill. If you're happy, I'm happy.
No, you're not. Listen, the last time I went in for treatment, one of the nurses said to me, "You have the most infectious laugh I've ever heard. Every time you come in, you brighten my whole day." I made someone's day a little better, and she told me about it, and that made me a little happier. And it didn't cost anybody anything. The powers who be that run the universe didn't look down and say, "Oh, look, somebody's happy. Better give another African baby a cleft palate." No, we two insignificant little people succeeded in increasing the world's total happiness by some infinitesimal amount. And the world got just that much better. So, there.
What on earth do we two see in each other?
The abyss.
Maybe we should talk about our trip. So let me say right up front that we are not going to Disney World. I know all you terminally ill folks are irresistibly drawn to that place, but there are some spots in this world that even I find too frightening.
The pull is very strong. But I was thinking, maybe we should finally do Paris.
Seriously? Margaret? Oh, that's a lot of traveling. Do you really want to be that far away from your dog?
I'm kidding. I just wanted to see you squirt. Oh, Smitty. I can't go anywhere right now. I'm just not dependable. Some days I feel like $1,000,000, and some days I can't even get out of bed. And I have to go into the hospital once a week for treatments now. Look, this new stuff they have me on says it might knock me right into remission. If that happens, when that happens, then we can go on our trip. Maybe not to Paris, but I've never seen Mackinac Island.
Oh, Jesus, and God willing you never will. Oh, fudge shops and t-shirt stands, horse manure. I'd rather spend a week in an IKEA. I'll think of something.
Smitty, I lied. I do think about it all the time. Find us someplace really good to go, okay? Someplace magical. I'm scared. I'm very, very scared.
Blackout, end of scene. We're gonna take a 10-minute intermission. 3. An afternoon in early autumn. Margaret is seated at the table. The hooded cargo coat from scene 1 hangs on the back of her chair. Smitty is standing, pouring scotch into teacups on the table. On the floor beside the table is a small dog bed. Smitty is wearing colorless sweats and house slippers. No bits of flamboyance now. Margaret is wearing jeans, a sweater, and sturdy shoes.
I hope you don't expect me to help you dig the grave.
Still standing, looks at the trash bag.
I can manage it myself. Thank you. Poor old Arthur. He was a pretty lousy dog, you know.
I know.
I've known some wonderful dogs in my time. Arthur was not among them. Even as a puppy was a dud. Personality of a potato. In these last few weeks, all he did was hide behind the sofa and growl at me and pee on the carpet. Ugh. But it was the longest lasting relationship I ever had with any male animal. So,
Smitty raises her cup.
to Arthur.
To Arthur. It was very brave of you to do it yourself.
Smitty picks up the trash bag and, cradling it in her arms, carries it to the dog bed and places it there gently.
Yeah, well, we should all be surrounded by friends at the end, right?
How did you know where to stick the needle? How much stuff to use?
I watched a video. YouTube.
Wow. You can actually do that. And what, you just ordered the drugs from Amazon?
Retrieves a much chewed dog toy and places it on top of the trash bag.
Don't be silly. It's a controlled substance. I got it from my niece. Remember Carolyn?
The one who's always in and out of rehab?
Well, she's out again, and she's working at a veterinary assistant somewhere down in the boot heel. She stole it for me
And why would she do a thing like that?
because I asked her to.
You ask a girl you probably haven't seen for years to jeopardize her job and maybe risk, I don't know, jail? Just so you could personally euthanize a dog that you didn't even like?
The girl is over 40, and I'm pretty sure this was not the first thing she's ever stolen.
But why would she do that for you?
It's possible that Carolyn may entertain certain expectations about my estate.
Are you leaving her your estate?
What do you think?
You are a bad person, Smitty.
Oh, don't you worry about old Carolyn. She's savvy enough to cover her tracks, and odds are she's sleeping with that veterinarian, so even if she does get caught, he's not going to prosecute.
At least she didn't have to steal very much of the stuff. Maybe it's not even a felony. Arthur was just a tiny thing.
135 pounds.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean 135 pounds. That's how much Arthur weighed when I described him to Carolyn.
Because?
Because I wanted enough for me too.
Is that supposed to be funny? Because I gotta tell you.
No, you're right. It's not funny. I'm sorry. It's just, I guess I'm a little terrified of the future.
Oh, Smitty.
Arthur wasn't much company, but at least he was an excuse to use my voice a few times a day. I'd yell at him to get out of the garbage or ask his opinion on our Netflix account, our options, and some days those might be the only words that came out of my mouth. Hell, when my grocery store switches over to that automated self-checkout, I won't even be able to listen to myself choose between paper and plastic. Our tea parties are pretty much the only human contact I have left. When you're gone,
I'm sorry I haven't phoned more often. I've really let things slide
just
lately.
stop it. Stop assuming responsibility for everything. I'm alone. I'm going to have to get used to that.
Please, can you stop with the self-pity already? Damn it, you've lived every minute of your life exactly the way you wanted to live it. Everything you've done all on your own. And you liked it that way.
I'm sorry, yes, you're right.
Me? I've never done anything alone. Never had my own place. Never took a trip by myself. Never bought a car or even a household appliance without somebody standing right next to me and sticking in their 2 cents worth. You went to Dubai before I even knew a place like that existed. You spent a week alone in Zimbabwe, for crying out loud.
That one was kind of an accident.
Nevertheless, I've never so much as spent a night alone in a Holiday Inn. You have always been the main character in your own life story. I've just played a supporting role in mine. You had adventures. You met interesting people.
Well, yeah, where are they now? All those interesting people, all those lovers and friends and travel buddies. They all forgot me the minute I was out of sight.
Well, how many of them did you reach out to?
Oh, dear God, I can't believe you said that. Reach out to? You know how much I hate that. It makes my teeth hurt.
Forgive me. How many times did you attempt to contact them? Did I say it right?
There were scores of them. You'd think one of them might have picked up a phone, dropped me a postcard. Hell, my brother doesn't even send me a birthday card anymore. I'm not really likable, am I?
You're, prickly. You scare people a little.
Well, not you, apparently.
Nope. I knew you were going to be my best friend forever the moment I clapped eyes on you the first day of 6th grade.
You're everybody's best friend. People adore you because you remember their birthdays and the names of their grandchildren. You notice their new haircuts and ask them about their stupid hobbies. It's nauseating.
It's a good trick. You should try it.
And don't you dare suggest another dog. I haven't got the time or the patience to break in a new one.
I haven't got the time or the patience for this conversation either, but here we go again. Make a goddamn effort, Smitty. You just sit there on your big rug and expect life to show up at your doorstep. Me, the sorry state I'm in, I Uber 50-something miles round trip just to trade insults with you. You haven't even been to my house since Tom died.
I don't like your house. It's too fancy. All those throw pillows and hanging plants and stuff. And there's no privacy. People are always popping in and out.
There's nothing fancy about my house. And people were popping in and out the last time you were there because I had just lost my husband. They were expressing condolences. People do that.
Well, anyway, you like coming here. You get to talk dirty and have a real drink and smoke cigarettes.
Yes, I do like coming here, but you can't expect the world to beat a path to your door. You want to rejoin the human race? Then look, this is the very last time I'm going to say it. Stop whining and do something about it. Volunteer. Someplace. Call your brother. Join a fucking book club.
Ooh, do they have that kind? Oh, that sounds way more interesting than a current affairs one. Look, yesterday I had one old dog and one old friend, and today I'm down to the one old friend, and she's not good for many more miles.
Well, good, Smitty. Sensitive.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who's going to die alone. Living alone is one thing, but dying alone, that's terrifying. That's sad. Don't moan to me about how you've never gotten to do anything alone. You don't know what alone is. People have loved you every minute of your life. You're surrounded by daughters and sisters and grandchildren and neighbors and your book club. Oh, God. And they will all be there with you right to the very end. Me? I'm going to fizzle out all by myself.
I can't believe where this conversation is going. Look, you ass. I came here today to talk to you about... Jesus, you have so got the wrong end of the stick here. You watch too many movies. You imagine that when the time comes you'll want, I don't know, eye contact and whispered goodbyes and appropriate background music.
Well, a friendly face and a few violins would be nice.
Well, damn it, maybe that is the way you'll want. But in my experience, and I think you'll have to concede that I have the inside track here, in my experience, the last thing you'll want is company. As a matter of fact, I need to talk to you about what I want to do. Okay, you're right. I don't know what alone is. Certainly not these days. I'm up to my ass in devoted caregivers almost 24 hours a day now, and I'm desperate to get the hell away from every one of them. They bully and coddle and patronize, and all day long, I have to perform for them. I have to be perky and determined and grateful. I mean, they're neglecting their homes and their families for me. They're passing up cruises and promotions and love affairs for all I know. That all demands a lot of gratitude.
Oh, and don't think for 1 minute they're not breaking their arms, patting themselves on the back for
What
it
if
either.
they are? The point is, they're all in there doing their best, working to get me through this, and I have to keep reassuring them that their efforts are not in vain. I can't keep it up. I've spent my whole life grinning and tap dancing, trying to make other people happy. And here I am at the end of the line, dying, and I'm still doing it. Every morning, gotta pop out of bed and make myself presentable in nice, clean clothes that someone has laundered for me. Gotta show an interest in my poor garden that my grandson is so enthusiastically mutilating. Gotta make bright chit-chat over the coffee and the tea and the homemade cookies they're always forcing on me. Gotta thank the neighbors who stop by with their endless casseroles and tell me how good I look. You have never told me that I look good, not once. And I'm really grateful for that.
Well, let's face it, you haven't actually looked good since the Clinton administration.
Somebody, my girls, my sisters, a neighbor, spends all night with me every night. They have it all plotted out on a spreadsheet. If you didn't live so far away, and if you didn't smoke, and if you didn't offend everybody, they probably would have drafted you into the lineup too.
Thank you, Philip Morris.
Somebody comes to give me lunch. Somebody else does dinner. Somebody keeps me company till bedtime. They do my shopping, mow my lawn, terrorize my visiting nurses, haul me around to doctors and clinics and hospitals. I need some water.
Margaret dumps the remaining scotch from her cup into Smitty's and starts to rise from her chair.
I'll get it.
I can get my own damn water, Smitty.
Well, sorry. By all means, get it yourself, bitch.
That's more like it.
Margaret walks carefully to the sink, rinses her cup, and fills it with water. Leans against the counter, sips. It is clear that she is frail.
Here's the worst part. They keep hammering me with all this evidence of what a good life I've had. They dig out the old photo albums and the home movies and the plastic bins full of toys and baby books. They yammer on and on and on about the old days. They expect me to be comforted by this, you know, reassured that I got full value out of my allotted time span. And I have to pretend that I'm moved and gratified. I'm not. I know I love Tom. I know I had one of the few decent marriages in the history of matrimony. I know that I brought forth two reasonably bright, relatively stable human beings. I've had a happy, lucky life. But I'm done. I don't want to remember any of it. It doesn't mean anything to me now. It's finished. Oh, God, they annoy the crap out of me.
Ouch. Listen to you. Where's all this coming from?
This thing that's happening to me demands my full attention now. Distractions are unbearable. I'm very busy dying. Another day of this and I'm going to start screaming at people to get the hell away from me and leave me to it.
Oh, Loney, you'd never scream at anybody, except me, maybe. Certainly not your kids. This is not like you, Margaret.
Listen to me. Here's the big secret about dying. Are you paying attention? It's not scary, and when it comes, alone is the way you want to do it. Okay, it's the way I want to do it. The machine is shutting down. Things are happening, and it's fascinating. Dying is a labor-intensive process. Every bit of everything that makes me me is involved in closing down the works. It's exhausting and exhilarating. And right now, I have nothing left over for anything else. What I want, what I need, is to get away from everybody so I can participate fully in this thing without interference.
Margaret, you're a family person, a people person. You're going to feel differently about this when the time actually comes.
Animals know how to do it. They go off alone when it's time. Elephants travel hundreds of miles to get to their graveyard.
That's probably a myth.
Our old cat Lulu dragged herself under a bush in the yard 3 houses down the street. Your Arthur couldn't get away, so he tried to be alone behind your sofa. Why do you think he was growling at you? I mean, I know you think your intervention was kindness, but I'm not so sure it was.
No way.
The natural process works. Well, it can work. Look, I'm in pain a lot of the time now, but it's only distressing when my nannies are buzzing around and I have to pretend to ignore it. When I'm finally alone at night in bed, I can give it my full attention. That pain becomes part of the process. Necessary, interesting even. I believe that something, I don't know, maybe rapturous is about to happen to me, and when it does, I want to be fully present in that moment.
You're not going religious on me, are you, Margaret?
Good God, no. Jesus, the complete opposite. This is chemistry I'm talking about. Biology and neuroscience. I'm dying. I feel fortunate that I get to participate as this thing unspools. It's an opportunity that not everybody gets. The ultimate adventure. When Tom died, when he literally dropped dead, I consoled myself with the thought that at least he didn't suffer. Now I think it's more like he was cheated out of his own finale. I'm grateful that I get to be there for mine. But I want to run the show. The doctors, the drugs, the treatments, they kept me trudging along and they've added months to my life, but I've clocked out of that life now. It's over.
We're old, Margaret. Extra months are all anybody our age can ask for.
But the months they can give me now aren't worth living. Every day I have less control over what's happening to me. My moments of privacy are few and far between, and pretty soon I won't have any. My sister had to help me take a shower this morning. It was very kind of her, and I just wanted to punch her. How long before I can't go to the toilet alone, or walk, or get out of bed? And once the morphine starts, I won't even be in charge of my own brain. I'm much more afraid of living than of dying.
I think I like it better when we talk about movies.
It's time. I'm itching to get on with it.
Well, look, what exactly do you think is going to happen, Margaret?
Well, I don't know, of course, but I imagine it as a slow build into a burst of perfect clarity. I think I'm going to completely see, feel, be me for one ecstatic moment.
So, it's like an orgasm.
Yes! Oh, that's exactly what it is. God, you're smart. Yes. When you come, and it's really good, you aren't thinking, oh, my beloved, now we are one. You aren't thinking at all. You're just being. Yes. Yes, yes, I think the final thing might be just like that. It might be ecstasy, and I want to be able to give it my undivided attention when it happens. Do you know what my biggest fear is right now? It's that the end will come and I'll be trapped at home or in a hospital surrounded by all those lovely, well-intentioned people, and somebody, probably Emily, will lean over my deathbed and plead, hang on, Mom. Don't leave us. And I will have to make the effort to obey. And I'll miss my moment because I'll be busy trying to please somebody as usual. Or worse, much worse, somebody will whisper, it's okay to let go now, Margaret. Like I need their permission? The arrogance of that, the effrontery. I'll go out in a big red burst of indignation. Oh, I really, really don't want to end like that.
Yeah, well, I hate to burst your balloon here, but what if this solitary departure you're so hot for isn't some orgasmic kumbaya moment? What if it hurts like hell and you're scared shitless?
Remember the Led Zeppelin concert in Grant Park?
Oh God, not this again.
You were as sick as I've ever seen any human being. Lord knows what kind of homebrewed narcotics you'd ingested. I tried to take care of you, to comfort you, remember?
I don't remember anything after Stairway to Heaven, and you know it.
The point is, you were in agony, but you didn't want any hand-holding or back-stroking. You startled at me when I tried to brush the hair out of your face. I think you actually tried to bite me.
If you say so.
If death is like that, if it is agony, then it'll be my agony. Mine. I need to do this alone.
Does this 11th hour burst of independence have something to do with the fact you never got to pick out your own kitchen appliances? Is this a giant screw you to 70-some years of conventional womanhood? Because if it is, I gotta tell you, it seems a little theatrical.
Is that what you think? Is that what everybody will think? Am I having an end-of-life temper tantrum? I honestly don't know. But I feel like I have about as much independence as a sparrow at migration time. I'm in the grip of an instinct, a compulsion. The Margaret I used to be, before I was so actively dying, she would have chosen to be an example to her kids and grandkids. She would have chosen to show them how to die with courage, grace, and dignity, no matter how much that effort cost her. The Margaret I am right now isn't making any choices at all. She's on automatic pilot, and she doesn't give a flying fuck about anybody but herself. I have this one supreme ultimate thing left to do, and I need to do it all by myself.
Okay. I'm trying to understand here. I really am. Do you want to come here with me when it's time? I'll leave you alone. Well, hell, I can't honestly promise that, but I'll try to leave you alone. But it doesn't matter, because you know your family would never stand for that. They'd just come collect you in an ambulance or something.
No, that wouldn't work at all, but thank you. I have something else in mind.
Like what?
Do you remember that cabin that Tom and I had down on the Gasconade River?
Sure. You bought yourself your own little third world country. An outhouse to pee in, stinky well water to bathe in, and kitchen cabinets full of vermin. You made me spend a weekend with you down there once. It was awful.
It was wonderful. It was my favorite place in the world for a long time. When we first bought it, we'd spend every weekend down there. Acres and acres of scrub woods and rocky hills. No electricity, no plumbing, just 4 walls and a tin roof, and as much scenery as your eyes could possibly stand. We caught fish, cooked them on the wood stove, and pumped our own water and read stories out loud by kerosene lamp.
Living the dream.
The girls loved it when they were little, but it only lasted a few years, and then, I don't know, Tom and I both got busy at work, and the girls had soccer and gymnastics, and then boys. And then one day we realized we hadn't been down there for a whole year. So eventually, remember, we sold it to Tom's cousin Gary. That was 25 years ago. I hear Gary doesn't make it down there very often himself now. Apparently, the new boyfriend has a thing about bugs.
Well, those woods are full of ticks. Lyme disease.
I haven't been able to stop thinking about that place. That's where I go to in my head when I'm trying to fall asleep. Not to the cabin, that's all contaminated with memories. It's the trees and the hills and the sky I think about. That part's timeless, eternal. I imagine myself sitting on a mossy outcropping way up on a limestone bluff, watching the river. It's as beautiful as any place needs to be. That's where I want to go, Smitty. I need to get there. That's where I want this thing to happen.
Oh, God. You want to go off in the buggy, muddy woods in the middle of nowhere and what? Sit on a rock day and night, fair weather and foul for as long as it takes you to die? Oh, your daughters are going to love this.
My daughters aren't a part of the plan. They aren't going to know where I am or what I've done till I've done it.
Well, that is just 100% crazy. Look, in the first place, you don't even know what season it'll be when the time comes. Maybe it'll be freezing, maybe it'll rain or sleet nonstop. You're not being very realistic, Margaret.
I know what the season will be. And I wouldn't be out there in the open exactly. Look, there's this cave in the face of the bluff right below the cabin. It's really just a big hole in the rock, like a bulldozer took a hunk out of it. The girls always wanted to believe that Indians had lived there. Anyway, it's dry and sheltered, and it has this sublime view out over the river and the valley. All you can hear is the wind and the water. That's the place. I want to die there.
Well, that's a real romantic picture, Margaret. Very Emily Bronte. But I can't believe this plan isn't going to lose some of its charm as you get closer to... Oh, look. For the sake of argument, if you're so determined to go off on your own, why not make it someplace at least comfortable? Why not hole up in a nice hotel? Or you could even fly off to some exotic spot. Hawaii. Oh, Switzerland. Maybe you'd have a big window full of gorgeous scenery. Plus climate control and no bugs.
Airline tickets and hotels, rental cars, they all leave a trail. I don't want to risk being found before I'm ready to be found. Nope, I know where I want to be. The place on the Gasconade just feels like the right place.
You don't even have a car anymore. How are you going to get there? Wait, are you expecting me to drive you? Is that it? Oh, man, that's a pretty big ask, Margaret.
No, you don't need to be so actively involved. I don't want any blame attached to you. I can get there on my own. You just need to let me steal your car.
Oh, well, sure. That's brilliant. I'll just explain to your kids that you overpowered me, grabbed the keys out of my purse, and peeled out. You'd probably have a good 30 minutes before they had the highway patrol on your tail.
Don't be obtuse. Well, the story's much simpler. We had a nice long visit. We were enjoying the last of our tea. And you left the room to take a phone call or go to the bathroom. You're an old lady. Sometimes a visit to the bathroom can take a while. When you returned, I was gone. You naturally assumed I'd phoned for my Uber and departed.
And I didn't notice that my car was missing.
Well, think about it, would you? How often do you take that thing out of the garage? You hardly drive it at all anymore. I bet you go for a week or more, sometimes without even looking at that car. I need 3-4 days max. 4 days after I leave, you discover that your car and your keys are gone. You report this astonishing news to my family. You also remember that I spoke fondly of our old property on the river, and specifically the cave. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Wow. Who would have guessed little Miss Goody Two-Shoes had such a taste for intrigue?
My book club did an entire summer of John Grisham novels.
So, what if your time comes in winter and the roads are bad? My tires aren't that good, and those country roads don't get salted or plowed much. I am not going to buy a new set of tires just so you can go kill yourself in a cave.
It won't be winter, Smitty. It's now. Today.
Don't joke about this, Margaret.
No joke. You know I'm no good at jokes. It's time.
No. You said it was still months away. You told me months, even a year.
Well, I've expedited things a little. I stopped all the treatments and all the drugs 7 or 8 weeks ago.
Oh.
Smitty, I wish I had the words to tell you how sweet it felt to stop marinating in all that poison. How liberating it was to stop struggling and just surrender all those possibilities they dangled in front of me this past year, all the choices I've had to make. Hope is a terrible thing. Once I let go of hope, I was free. My brain cleared for the first time in forever, and I knew exactly what to do. For these last weeks, there's been this brilliant pinpoint of light at the end of this tunnel. I've been able to think of nothing but orchestrating my own ending. And now, it's here.
You can't possibly know exactly when you're going to die. It doesn't work that way. There are a million variables. You don't even look all that sick to me, Margaret.
Do you really think I'm stupid enough to screw up something this big? I've done my homework, Smitty. I had a long talk with my doctor. Once the treatment stopped, it's very predictable progression. She told me that when I was down to the last few days, I know. And I do. I know.
Well, I'm not ready, Margaret. Damn it. Damn you. You're on. God, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? Why didn't we talk about this?
I've become very selfish. I wanted this, us, our tea parties to go unchanged.
You spring this on me, and you expect me to help you do this demented thing today. You are out of your tiny little mind in the first place. Even if I were willing to go along with this lunacy, how could you even drive yourself that far? I mean, if you're as close to the end as you say you are, you could pass out on the highway and ram a busload of orphans or something.
Determination and adrenaline can accomplish almost anything. I believe I can do this. I can do it. And as soon as I'm out of the city, I'll stick to the back roads. Hardly any orphans there at all. You'll get your car back in one piece, I promise.
But you're not prepared. You need food and blankets and pain medicine and stuff.
I have everything I need, Smitty.
It'll be cold at night.
Not very. The cave is quite snug and I have a warm coat with a hood.
Water. Well, water. What about water? This is nuts. Nuts. You're not thinking clearly. Please, let's talk about this. Look, what if you change your mind? You'll concede that could happen, right? Yeah. What if you sit out there in your little Indian cave for a couple of days and it becomes unbearable and you want to come home, but you're too weak to make it back to the car?
Margaret pulls a cell phone from the other coat pocket and holds it up.
Is that thing charged? Do you even have reception out there in the wilderness?
Yes. And yes.
You're serious about this?
I am. Smitty, this is our last tea party no matter where I go when I leave here. You're the only one who can help me do this the way that I want to do it. The way that I need to do it. Please let me do this one thing just for me.
This is hard, Margaret. This is awful. I don't like this at all. I am very angry with you right now.
I know. Please.
Now, wait a minute. Wait. You're the one who's always banging the drum for all this circle of life, family of man, we're all in this together bullshit.
I wasn't wrong about
Well, all
that.
right. So you built this big sticky web of family and friends and you spent your whole life there, right in the center of it. What gives you the right to just walk out on all that now? Compulsion or no, your people have done everything they thought good people were supposed to do. Don't you have any obligations to them?
You gotta admit, that's pretty rich coming from you, old friend. They have obligations. Even you have obligations, but me, I have none. I'm finished. I did it. I gave, I received. It cost me a lot, but it was worth it. I celebrated with people and grieved with them. I got drunk and silly and angry and excited and bored with them. I knew exactly who I was because they were mirrors that showed me my reflection. But dying, that's all mine and I'm taking it. I finally get to see who I am without any mirrors at all. Look, when I got here today, I didn't know for sure I could go through with this. But I've listened to myself explaining it to you and I've talked away the last of my doubts. I can't go back. I'm ready to experience my own death my own way. I'm not afraid. Please, please let me have this, Smitty. I'm your obligation.
Oh, I need time to think, Margaret. You can't just ambush me like this.
Time's up. If you won't or can't help me, I'll figure out some other way. But today's the day. I'm not going back home.
Margaret, relax. Our situations were reversed. If I was the one with friends and family and attachments, and I asked you to help me disappear and off myself in the cave, would you do it?
I don't know.
Jesus. All right then. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Smitty.
Tell me what happens next.
Nothing happens. I go, you stay. I've turned off my phone. In an hour or two, somebody will probably call you wondering where I've gotten to. You tell them, as far as you know, I left around 2 o'clock. That's it.
This is a brutal thing you're doing. Did you at least leave a note for the girls?
A note saying what? What could I possibly say to them that would explain this or relieve the distress I'm going to cause them for the next few days? Longer, I suppose. No, I didn't leave a note. My poor babies. I should be absolutely gutted about doing this to them, but I don't feel anything but relieved and happy, Smitty. I know I can't make you understand this right now, but I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Smitty stands still for a long moment, looks at Margaret, then crosses to the kitchen counter and rifles through her handbag for a few seconds before extracting her car keys, which she holds close to her chest.
Well, your family will get over it eventually. And who knows? It might turn out to be the most exciting thing that ever happened to them. They'll have the state police and the FBI and the Boy Scouts all out there beating the bushes for you. Your girls will be the center of attention for days. Maybe they'll get interviewed by reporters. I mean, maybe they'll be on TV. Anyway, the whole motley crew will have something to talk about and analyze and blame each other for years. And in the end, you know, they'll settle on the story that you did it for them. And you spare them the pain of watching you. It will be remembered as your ultimate act of self-sacrifice. They'll canonize you.
It's going to be an awfully big adventure.
What about me, Margaret? What am I supposed to do without you?
Do you need me to make you a list, you moron? You can start with your brother. Get him over here today to help you dig a nice grave for Arthur. In a couple of weeks or so, take my daughters out and get them really drunk and tell them X-rated stories about our youth. And for Pete's sake, go introduce yourself to your next door neighbor.
I can't bear it, Margaret. I'll be so alone.
Okay, so there's this homicidal maniac, and he lures
What are you
this.
doing?
I'm telling a joke.
What?
And this homicidal
Stop
maniac.
it, Margaret.
Shut up. This is a good one. So one night, this maniac lures a little kid away from the village and into the woods. And they walk further and further from town. And it gets darker and darker. And the little kid says, "Gee, mister, it's really spooky in the woods. I'm scared." And the homicidal maniac says, "You're scared. I'm the one who has to walk out of here alone."
Oh, that's not funny, Margaret.
End of scene. Scene 4. Another afternoon in another mid-December. Smitty's alone in her kitchen. Her clothes are the same or similar to those she wore in scene 1. The Christmas tree from scene 1 is back in its original place. It is unlit. The kitchen is more cluttered than in previous scenes. Among the debris are a handbag, spatula, hot pads, and a wire cooling rack. At the table are the cigarettes, ashtray, lighter, and Scotch bottle. Smitty looks at the window, paces aimlessly, and sits at the table and lights a cigarette. After a moment, she gets up, takes a teacup from the kitchen cabinet, and pours herself some Scotch. Sits back down, drinks, smokes, stares straight ahead. A phone rings. She scrambles frantically around the kitchen till she locates it under a wadded up dish towel.
Oh, hello. Hey, sure. Everything's under control. No, you don't need to do that. I've got it all covered. Well, geez, if you insist, but I've got enough coming to feed a regiment. Okay. Well, sure. Of course she can bring her boyfriend as long as he understands about the cell phone rule. Oh, you're kidding. Jesus Christ. No, it's not a problem. I'll just call and change the order. I'm sure they can make one with a gluten-free crust. Yes, more than enough beer. Yes, oceans of soda for the kids. Will you relax? You get more like your damn mother every day. Yes, a shitload of plastic cups. No, I thought Amanda was bringing the ping pong balls. No, that's not going to be nearly enough. No, I'll take care of it. Oh, look, there's a dollar store just around the corner. I've got this.
Loud, annoying stove timer sounds.
Oh, I gotta go. I'll see you tonight.
Smitty tosses the phone down and flails around, frantically locating hot pads, spatula, and a wire cooling rack as the kitchen timer continues its annoying buzz.
Damn it! Fuck!
Smitty silences the kitchen timer, pulls a cookie sheet out of the oven, sets it on the table, and scrapes cookies off into a wire rack. She tosses the spatula and cookie sheet into the sink, takes a deep breath, knocks back the last of her drink, admires her cookies for a moment, then retrieves her coat from the hook by the back door and picks up a dog leash hanging underneath the coat. She calls into another room as she struggles into her coat.
Let's go, Maggie. Come on, you silly little bitch. We have things to do. I have a long way to go.
Still holding the leash, Smitty picks up her handbag from the counter and slings it over her shoulder, grabs a cookie, and turns on the Christmas tree lights. She stands eating her cookie and looking at the tree. End of play.